following recent salary settlements. The supplementary funding request comes after the national budget was presented in October 2025 with projected expenditure of $59.2 billion and a fiscal deficit of $3.8 billion. In more news, Senior Counsel Anand Ramlugan says a High Court ruling has exposed serious constitutional breaches by the state in its handling of COVID-19 border exemptions and the demonetization process after a 76-year-old woman was denied the opportunity to redeem $10,000 in old $100 bills. He described the judgment as a landmark victory for citizens' rights following the court's finding that the state violated the constitutional protections of the late Shanti Nanan. The case centered on Ms. Nanan, who was stranded overseas after Trinidad and Tobago's borders closed in March 2020. By the time she was granted permission to return home, the deadline to exchange demonetized $100 notes had expired, and her request for an exemption was denied. Mr. Ramlugan noted that the decision builds on an earlier ruling by the Court of Appeal.
Court of Appeal, in a unanimous judgment delivered by Justice of Appeal Barrow, had ruled that then Minister Stuart Young acted illegally and in breach of their constitutional rights because the exemption process to return home was shrouded in mystery and secrecy.
He said Nanan's case highlights how ordinary citizens suffer the consequences of questionable decision-making. In other news, the central bank has filed a major lawsuit against two NEPAT General Contractors Limited directors to recover millions paid out on fraudulent government checks. The claim, filed by a senior legal team led by former Attorney General Anand Ramlugan, centers on at least $45 million in fake payments cleared by the central bank. According to the central bank, one check for $20 million was cashed on September 29, 2023, despite the Ministry of Planning, Economic Affairs and Development later confirming it neither issued the instrument nor owed NEPAT any money. A second check valued at $25 million was also processed. The payments were made during the tenure of a former central bank governor who had denied Auditor General Jayawanti Ramdas access to the bank's electronic systems. That decision was reversed by newly appointed Governor Larry Hawai, allowing auditors to uncover the fraudulent transactions. However, by the time investigators detected the scheme, most of the funds had already been withdrawn or transferred to third parties, but the bank managed to freeze just over $1.2 million remaining in the accounts. The fraud squad is said to be actively investigating the matter and is said to be close to laying charges for tendering a false check, fraud, conspiracy to defraud the state, and receiving monies under false pretenses. And now taking a look at the weather. Today will be mostly sunny, slightly hazy and breezy, despite few isolated showery spells. Partly cloudy periods are expected overnight with occasional showers. Gusty winds possible at times, especially near showers. A mild concentration of Saharan dust is present in the atmosphere. Sensitive persons should take the necessary precautions. And on to sport. With Haiti going down to a 1-0 loss versus Scotland in the FIFA World Cup, all eyes were on the other Caribbean representative in the tournament, Curaçao, when they met powerhouse Germany on Sunday at the NRG Stadium in Houston, USA. Germany rolled over the tournament debutants 7-1, but many of the Curaçao fans would not focus on the scoreline, but the fact that they scored against the four-time champions. It looked like smooth sailing for Germany when they opened the scoring in the 6th minute through Felix Mencha, but Curaçao hit back in the 21st minute with a strike from Livano Comencia. But all thoughts of an upset were squashed when the Germans scored twice after hydration break to take 3-1 lead going into the half interval. 4 more goals in the second half gave Julian Nagelsmann's side the crushing win, which put them in command of Group E. And that's what's making the news this morning. But joining us right now is Virmala Balkaran, the host of Trinidad and Tobago Today. Good morning, Virmala. Happy Monday.
Good morning, Carrie. Happy Monday. It's a short week. Oh,
it is a short week. We have a holiday coming up.
Yeah, I am so looking forward to that. How are you on this fine, rainy Monday morning?
Oh, I am good. I'm very good. It's Monday. We're starting off the week strong. We're starting off on a positive note as usual. Yes. And I look forward to the rest of the week, although a short one. So I don't know. I haven't made any plans for the holiday yet. What about you?
I don't know. I think I just really want to catch up on some rest, maybe just the gym as much as I can over the next few days, because I told you I am nursing an injury, so we'll
Yes,
see how that
and
comes
you need
out.
the rest. You definitely need the rest.
Yeah, but you know what? It's on the knee, so we can do upper body workouts, just something to get your blood
Yeah,
pumping.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
speaking of getting the blood pumping, are you into the World Cup, drama or the entertainment and everything that's happening?
So, all right. So I think we established last week we are both bandwagonists, right?
No, ladies and gentlemen, I am not a bandwagonist. I just don't know very much, and if you tell me to support someone, I would. Okay, that's probably
So
a bandwagonist.
that is a bandwagonist.
All right.
Supporting people, just because of everybody else supporting them, right?
Yeah.
I was really, really rooting for Curacao.
Yeah.
A lot of videos were online about them, and they just had such a good vibe, and they were really representing the Caribbean well in their whole vibe and their energy and all
And
the
the
things that
soca
I've seen on social
music.
media. Was that?
And the soca music as
And
well.
the
We
soca
saw
music,
those
yeah,
videos.
every video I've seen of them, they're dancing to something with somebody.
Well,
it
I mean,
really
they
just
are
shows that
happy.
Caribbean warmth.
They are very happy because this is their qualification for the very first time into the World Cup, and also they are the smallest nation by population and geographical area to ever reach the tournament final. So I mean,
Yes.
that's beautiful news for them.
It is,
Congratulations
but I just
to
read
them.
a sports story that Germany gave them a lashing.
You know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
The soca music made up for it, and you know what? We accept you, and we are rooting for you. I honestly heard, well, the final VAR is happening here at TTT as well, and our hosts have been saying that Curacao, well, they seem to be the underdogs. Well, they seemed to be the underdogs going into the competition. So, of course, the World Cup action is something we'll continue to follow. Also, on a more serious note, the mid-year budget review is on. We're following that for you ball by ball, and we will give you all the information as it comes to hand. But I have to run now, Carrie, and I will see you in a few minutes.
All right, looking forward to it as usual.
All right, Carrie, talk soon.
All right, we will. Thanks so much, Virmala.
Bye.
When we come back, the Trinidad and Tobago Today morning show gets going right after this short break.
TTT News, every night at 7. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant.
You are dearer to me than all the stars. So many wish but never reach. 'Cause when I'm falling and all the world seems dark, you help me find my peace. Oshun mi ba fishani. Oshun mi ba yeah. Oshun mi ba fishani. Arubita yeah 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Unleash your imagination with TTT's terrific Toon Time. Join us as we stop evil geniuses from taking over the world from Super Z, or hop on board for a journey into outer space with Galaxy Kids. Be a part of our quest to save the forests alongside our robot pals from Bugsbot Ignition. Or let's go exploring with Duda and Dada. Catch terrific Toon Time weekdays at 4:15 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. It's fun-filled adventure with terrific Toon Time right here on TTT.
I'm Renee Sion with another edition of Caribbean Week in Review.
Ever wondered what happens before the lights come on? Before the crowd pours in? Before the magic hits the stage? This is your all-access pass. Sneak Peek with Junior K takes you behind the scenes of the biggest cultural moments and the hottest events across TNT. From the sound checks to the stage setups, from final rehearsals to exclusive interviews. If it's about to be big, we're already there. Catch Sneak Peek airing daily on TTT and relive every moment on all our social media platforms. Sneak Peek with Junior K, where the story starts before the spotlight.
Monday, 15 June 2026. The time now, it is 6:11 a.m. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago and the world. I'm Virmala Balkaran, and welcome to Trinidad and Tobago Today. Let's take a look now at what's trending this morning. Today at 10:30 a.m., Finance Minister Devendranath Tanku will present the 2026 mid-year budget review in the House of Representatives. All eyes will be on the Parliament as citizens await details on how government spending and key fiscal measures will shape the economy. The review comes as the total expenditure is expected to rise to around 62.16 billion TT dollars, alongside updates on the Finance Bill 2026 and a recent Moody's outlook upgrade from negative to stable. Now, TTT Limited will have all the details on the announcements across all our social media platforms and, of course, in our subsequent newscasts. And we will also continue the discussion right here on Trinidad and Tobago Today. And did you see this? A 19-year-old Laventille man is being treated for injuries after a rideshare driver allegedly struck him while fleeing an attempted robbery in Port of Spain on Saturday night. And police are saying that the driver picked up two women via a mobile app around 9:19 p.m. and was later directed to Wharton Branch Road, Laventille. Upon arrival now, two men, one armed, approached the vehicle and demanded cash. The driver, as we see in this video, just sped off, hitting one of the suspects, while a shot was fired at the vehicle. And hours later, a man matching the suspect's description reported to hospital and was taken into custody. Nassau Street CID is continuing its investigations. So, in some sport news, are there any Knicks fans watching this morning? And where were you on Saturday night when history was made as the New York Knicks were crowned 2026 NBA champions after defending the San Antonio Spurs 4-1? Well, New York City erupted into celebrations as generations of fans poured into the streets following the franchise's first title in 53 years, turning Manhattan into one massive, unforgettable block party. Well, I can't say the same for World Cup Brazil fans. Well, last evening, I also had the honor and privilege of hosting the DSFN Fashion With Us 2026 at the Hyatt Regency, and it was absolutely beautiful. I had the best time. Here are some of the models. They're making their way on the stage for that last hurrah. It was such a heartwarming time. And, you know, it was just so beautiful to see everyone coming together to support and to celebrate these beautiful people. And of course, there is the great Richard Young, the creative director, and also a special hello to Lisa Gani of Exceptional Events. And they all put on this amazing show. And also before the break, I want to take a moment this morning as you take in this content to acknowledge the parents and the caregivers, the teachers and the advocates of children and adults with special needs. And much of what they do happens quietly in the appointments, the therapy sessions, the sacrifices, the advocacy, the patience, and the unwavering love. It isn't always seen, but of course it matters. And to the individuals with special needs themselves, Thank you for the lessons that you teach us every single day about resilience, determination, joy, and seeing the world differently. There is still so much to be done to make our schools, our workplaces, communities, and public spaces more inclusive and accessible. But real progress actually begins with understanding the compassion and commitment to ensuring that everyone has the opportunity to thrive. So this morning, to every caregiver, every family walking this journey, we see you, we appreciate you, and we thank you. Keep going. You are making a difference every single day. Well, stay with us. More ahead after the break. You know what to do. Grab your cup of coffee and settle in. Trinidad and Tobago Today has begun. Every client deserves expertise, integrity, and guidance they can trust. At Camino Realty International, we deliver integrated real estate solutions, sales, rentals, property management, and project development. Driven by excellence, transparency, and innovation, we protect value, create opportunity, and build lasting success. Because real estate isn't just about buildings. For more information on our services, log on to CaminoRealty.com or follow us on social media at Camino Realty TT. Camino Realty International, elevating lives one property at a time.
Being connected, it means a lot because first of all, you can't do this by yourself.
When you have your phone, you always have somebody at your side. I could call for help, anything going like, you know.
I'm giving children the opportunity to experience outside of their neighborhood.
Digital is kind of a comfort, you feel good that people in your lives are always able to be contacted.
I was with the other network and I was having problems, so I joined Digicel and I never regretted it.
Since 1972, one sound has been living in the heart of Trinidad and Tobago, the longest running radio station in the nation.
We're your holiday soundtrack, whether it's on your day off,
long drives, or house lines.
We are always sweet.
This is music with meaning, music with memories.
Music that feels like home.
And it's not just the songs, it's the voices you trust, personalities you've grown with.
Laughter that sounds familiar.
This isn't just radio, it's tradition.
It's memories.
It's part of who we are.
Sweet 100.1 FM, the rhythm of our identity, part of your family.
Always 100, got you on your way. Sweet 100, sweet 100.
Coming up, hot plates, cold drinks, and chilled vibes were the order of the month in Antigua and Barbuda. Top chefs, tasty menus, influencers, and foodies. The boxes were ticked, kitchens buzzing, and grills fired up. It's the one and only Antigua and Barbuda Culinary Month. It's Caribbean Passport TV on TTT.
Your world moves fast, so do we. TTT News brings you the people, events, and issues that matter most. Stay informed, stay ahead. TTT News, every night at 7. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant.
Today, all eyes are on the Parliament as Finance Minister Devendra Tanku delivers the government's mid-year budget review, providing an update on the country's economic performance, fiscal priorities, and outlook for the months ahead. Now, the review comes against the backdrop of a recently approved finance bill, a stable outlook from Moody's ongoing discussions surrounding energy and sector recovery, and continued efforts to balance public expenditure with economic growth. So to help us break down what today's review could mean for Trinidad and Tobago, we're joined now by former Minister of Energy, Mr. Kevin Ramrine. Mr. Ramrine, thank you for being with us this morning, and good morning to you.
Good morning.
Now, today is truly an important moment on the national calendar with the presentation of the government's mid-year budget review. So from your perspective as a former energy minister, what are the primary areas that you are looking out for today, and what do you expect to be the main pillars of the finance minister's presentation?
Good morning. Well, the mid-year review is something which is just a check-in, and it is what exactly it says it is, a mid-year review. We've had a bit since the budget was read last year, October, I think it was. We've had a bit of a roller coaster year because of the international context that we find ourselves in. We've had the Iran-USA war, or the Iran-USA-Israel war that started in the first quarter of this year. And from all indications, it has come to an end. Because from everything we've been reading, the US and Iran have struck a deal to bring that war to an end and to reopen the Straits of Hormuz. So in the mid-year review comes today, the 15th of June, and from all reports that that deal is going to be signed this Friday in Switzerland. So already we see the oil markets respond to that, because the President of the United States has posted that the Straits of Hormuz will be fully reopened and the oil will flow. And that brings roughly 15 million barrels of oil per day back into the world's oil market. So already we see prices in the region of $80 to $82 per barrel of oil this morning, where just 3 months ago it had been $120 a barrel. So that affects also natural gas prices. It will affect ammonia prices and methanol prices, which have been pretty high in the last 3 months because of the war and because of the closure of the Straits of Hormuz. So that's going to obviously feature into revenue collection for the remainder of fiscal 2026, which we are completing, and probably spill over into the next budget and fiscal 2027. So that's the price environment in which we find ourselves. So we got a bit of a bounce in the last 3 months that I think is going to go away now, and it's back to low prices. I think oil prices are going to fall probably into the 60s or maybe into the high 50s. The world is oversupplied with oil and was oversupplied with oil prior to the war. So that's where we are. It's a challenging situation from the point of view of revenue. We also continue, 2026 is a doldrum, what I call the doldrum year for gas production. And this is something which people like myself had foreseen 3 years ago or 4 years ago. If those of us who maintain forecasts of natural gas production, but things are going to improve in 2027. And there are 3 gas projects which are scheduled to come on stream in 2027: Coconut, Ginger, and Manatee, all scheduled to start in 2027. And of course, there's also the extraordinary news coming out of Venezuela with regard to the Loran field, which, though it's not our gas, it's their gas, it is part of a cross-border reservoir system that comes into Trinidad. So that augurs well for the future of Trinidad and Tobago. We still have to hear from Shell how they plan to monetize that gas and so on, but it sits on our doorstep. So therefore, the outlook for gas production is as positive as it has ever been. So while 2026 is going to be what I call a doldrum year for the energy sector, I think there is a gradual rebound which starts in 2027 and picks up momentum in 2028. And of course, as I said, Venezuela becomes a critical a critical component of our future beyond 2028. So we've the Minister of Finance, Dave Tanku, I call him Dave. I've known him for a while. His correct name is Devindranath Tanku. He has been dealt a very difficult hand when he assumed the office of Finance Minister some 14 months ago. I think, the consensus of the private sector, because I speak to the private sector pretty frequently, is that he has held things together. He is more accessible and he listens to the private sector, which I think is something which they welcome. So I think we look forward to what he has to say today from the point of view of where revenue is for fiscal 2026, from the point of view of where expenditure is. There are concerns about the fuel subsidy because there was a reduction in the price of super gasoline at the pump last year by $1, and then the oil prices spiked, which must mean that there is an increased subsidy burden. So again, we look forward to hear how the government plans to treat with that subsidy burden. And there are other issues that we expect to hear about, such as payment for the public service and salary adjustments and so on. But the recent revision of our credit rating from negative to stable also is a positive sign that Trinidad and Tobago continues to hold its own. The economy continues to tick along, and there are some signs on the horizon with the energy sector, particularly with gas production, that 2027 will be a better year than 2026, and 2028 I expect to be a year in which our gas production returns to above 3 billion cubic feet of gas per day, which it has not done since 2020. So those are positive signs, but there's still a lot of work to do with Trinidad and Tobago's economy from the point of view of diversification, from the point of view of ease of doing business, and from the point of view of getting our private sector really excited and mobilized again about Trinidad and Tobago. So that's my opening 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Amrine. I want to zoom in on something you spoke about, which is the public expenditure. Literally, right? Now, the mid-year budget review outlines an adjustment in total expenditure to approximately, I believe, 62.16 billion TT dollars, facilitating public sector wage settlements and also key capital development projects. So from a macro fiscal perspective, how do you now assess the management of this level of expenditure in driving economic momentum?
Well, any expenditure beyond $60 billion is taking the government's expenditure into a realm which is, high compared to previous years, but not unmanageable. The government has commitments to the public service. And I would just like to say that, many public servants have been working on salaries which I think were 2013 or 2014 salaries, which is a situation which, really had become untenable. There are many people so of course, the purchasing power of the Trinidad and Tobago dollar had been eroded in that period by about 25 to 26%. So what $100 could buy in the grocery 12 years ago is not what $100 could buy in the grocery today. I think that is common knowledge, that's accepted. So that an increase in salaries is something which was long overdue. The question is not the increase in salaries, the question is the increase in revenue. Because while we want to increase salaries and while we commit to increase salaries, the country's economy has to be taken to a point where it consistently earns revenues above $60 billion a year to match the expenditure. We've been running deficit budgets for a long time, but deficit budgeting is not something which in itself is unique to Trinidad. I mean, many of the most developed countries in the world run deficit budgets and they survive. The question is, how do we take revenue up to $60 billion plus? And I don't think the energy sector alone should be the engine to drive that. I think diversification, I've advocated, ad nauseum about the maritime sector and its potential to be a huge revenue earner for this country and a huge job creator. We see that to our south, Guyana is now, the largest economy in CARICOM by, my recent check, and will continue to grow. They're approaching a million barrels of oil per day. So there is a lot of maritime activity in the region that supports what's happening in Guyana, and Suriname is going to take off. So getting the revenue, so while we talk about the expenditure, and there's a concern about the expenditure being too high, we have to match that expenditure with an increase in revenue. And I think that is what the government is looking at, of course, the diversification trust. But it shouldn't be solely that we always, hope for a oil discovery, for oil boom and so on. We should really focus on that diversification trust. And I think to a large extent that is being focused on. But there's a need for speed in Trinidad and Tobago. And again, I come back to that ease of doing business.
I'm going to move on a little bit now to the tax policy. The Finance Bill 2026 incorporates several structural adjustments, including updates to pension-related benefits, there's gaming frameworks, and also exemptions for approved savings and annuity plans. So how now do you evaluate this broader mix of policy measures and in terms of fostering institutional savings and domestic investments, Mr. Amnarin?
Well, I mean, I haven't looked at the fines and so on closely and so on. What I want to comment on is the royalty for the energy sector. There's a reduction in the royalty rate. Now, in 2017, the former government introduced a blanket royalty rate of 12.5% for everybody in the energy sector. We've never had that before 2017. And when that was done in 2017, I publicly disagreed with that policy, that one-size-fits-all royalty of 12.5%. We never had that before in Trinidad. And there was a reason for that, because every project, every company is different. So the government has moved away from that policy of 2017, and they have now gone to introduce an 8% royalty rate for small offshore marginal gas fields. And what that will do is it helps the economics of some of those what I call gas deposits, which are uneconomic and unattractive. So that augurs well too for increasing gas production, and it's something which I hope we continue to trend in that direction in Trinidad, because there's a lot more production that could be unlocked if the economics are right. And of course, we also juxtapose that against what's happening in the international price environment, right? So that's positive. With regard to the fines and so on, I mean, that's solely the remit of the Minister of Finance. And in many cases, our fines are small and so on, and increasing fines, encourages a different pattern of behavior, which is something we want to encourage.
I have one more question for you before I let you go this morning. I know today must be a really busy day for you, Mr. Amnarin. Now, Moody's has recently upgraded Trinidad and Tobago's economic outlook, from negative to stable. How significant is this international validation, the current economic climate, particularly as it provides, context for today's mid-year review?
Yeah. So the negative outlook which was an outlook, which was this, I think, last year. I don't want to give the exact month, sometime last year. That negative outlook essentially signaled that at the next ratings review, you could get a downgrade, right? So the fact that we've moved from negative to stable means that the likelihood of a downgrade now has been, for all intents and purposes, set aside, right? And Moody's cites the reason for moving from negative to stable as based on how the government has managed its debt profile going forward, and specifically the successful bond that Minister Tanku was able to raise in the January of this year. I think it was $1 billion bond. And that $1 billion bond, that inflow of that $1 billion has strengthened our foreign reserves. And of course, the HSF, Moody's cites the HSF as, being part of the buffers, part of the fiscal buffers that buffer this country from external shocks. So I think that is a positive sign. It means that we no longer face the threat of a downgrade in 2027. So, which is good, because it helps with our investment attractiveness, and it helps with our cost of borrowing internationally.
I know I told you that would be my final question, but I really have to ask you as well before I wrap up. What's your message to the public this morning ahead of the review, and what are you looking forward to most from today's review?
Well, I think the message is that Trinidad and Tobago is holding, the economy is holding together, despite the economic headwinds and the economic turbulence in the world economy. We have held together. One of the main responsibilities of a Minister of Finance, because I speak from the perspective of somebody who worked closely with a Minister of Finance, is to pay public servant salaries, to pay the salaries of the peoples in the RHAs and the daily paid people and so on. And this minister has been able to do that in, as I said, a pretty challenging set of circumstances. So I see things from all the indications, 2027 will be a better year than 2028 will be a better year than 2027. So if all goes to plan, and if everybody does what they have to do, the economy will hold, things will recover. But that doesn't mean that, we out of the woods. There's a lot of work to be done, and it's not only the responsibility of the government to do this work. It's a partnership with the private sector and the public service. But I have great faith in my country, and I have faith in the people of this country, and especially the young entrepreneurs of the country. I think that once we mobilize the private sector, we have a lot of positivity that could come for this country in the future.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ramnarine, for sharing your insights with us this
morning.
Thank you very much. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, as the nation awaits the details of today's mid-year budget review, the conversation will undoubtedly focus, going forward on how the government balances fiscal responsibility, economic growth, the energy sector development, and of course the needs of the citizens in the months ahead. We always appreciate the contribution of Mr. Kevin Ramnarine, former energy minister. Also, a report coming to hand is that there may be an accident somewhere in the vicinity of Kuva on the highway. So there seems to be a car in the median. So please be careful. If you are in that area, traffic will obviously build. I do believe the roads are wet. So remember, no speeding, and just take your time on the roads. Drive for yourself and those around you as well. So good luck on the road if you are there this morning. If you're heading to work or to school, thank you for getting ready with us this morning on Trinidad and Tobago Today. We take a break, more ahead.
Ready to brighten your space the right way? Don't settle for the ordinary. Step into brilliant. At Trinity Lighting Etc. Limited, we bring you over 20 years of experience in bulbs, specialty lighting, and hard-to-find lighting parts. Not sure what you need? Our knowledgeable team is ready to guide you, whether it's for your home, medical, commercial, marine, or business. We deliver quality you can trust at prices you love. Visit us today at 123 Western Main Road, St. James, or call us at 628-8373 or WhatsApp at 461-8620. Check us out on email at trinityetc@yahoo.com. Trinity Lighting Etc. Limited. We light up your life.
Being connected, it means a lot because, first of all, you can't do this by yourself.
When you have your phone, you always have somebody at your side. I could call for help, anything going on, you know.
I'm giving children the opportunity to experience outside of their neighborhood.
Digital is kind of a comfort, you feel good that people in your lives are always able to be contacted.
I was with the other network and I was having problems, so I joined Digicel. And I never regretted it.
Coming up, hot plates, cold drinks, and chilled vibes were the order of the month in Antigua and Barbuda. Top chefs, tasty menus, influencers, and foodies. The boxes were ticked, kitchens buzzing, and grills fired up. It's the one and only Antigua and Barbuda Culinary Month. It's Caribbean Passport TV on TTT.
Hey, up for this exciting challenge and confident about your business? If you are, the 1020 feature is just what we do. It's where you give your customers 10 reasons in 20 seconds why they should shop by you. This fun-filled feature will be captured, packaged, and aired on television and promoted on social media simultaneously. Small, medium, and large businesses call or WhatsApp 764-3378 or 313-4215. Let's feature your business. 1020 with Junior K. It's affordable, effective, and fun.
There are a number of risk factors for heart disease, so a lot of attention has to be put towards preventive cardiology. What can we do to reduce the burden due to all these risk factors? Hypertension, diabetes, cholesterol, need to stop cigarette smoking, you gotta get people exercising.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
The government has repeatedly stated that its fight against crime is not limited to the individuals carrying out criminal acts on the streets, but extends to those who finance, organize, and also benefit from criminal networks operating behind the scenes. Prime Minister Kamla Prasad-Bisesa has made it clear that no one is above the law and that efforts are now being intensified to target organized crime at every level. But how exactly do these criminal networks operate, and what does it take to dismantle them? Joining us now to discuss these issues is political scientist and criminologist, no stranger to Trinidad and Tobago Today, Dr. Randy C. Prasad. Good morning, Dr. C. Prasad.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate the time that you're spending with us this morning. Now, the Prime Minister has said that the law applies equally to every citizen, regardless of their wealth, their status, their affiliation, and that, I quote, no one is above the law. So from a criminology perspective, how important is that kind of stance in tackling organized crime?
Right, so that is extremely important because it signals to the population, a very decided position with respect to the government and their approach to dealing with crime. What you would find when you look at the emphasis of the criminal justice system, and it's certainly reflected in the crime statistics, is that, law enforcement efforts tend to focus on what you might call the low-level end of crime, meaning, persons committing visible crimes on the streets that there are sometimes direct victims and so forth. But behind those much more visible, evidence of crime, there are hidden networks, there are hidden operators at all levels, going all the way up, to the highest levels in society. People who have international connections, people who have the ability to shift money between companies, and between countries, to create shell companies, to launder money, etc. And really, when you look at the international literature, what you will see is that these organized criminal networks really incur far more harm and create far more losses at a national level than street level crime. Now, the declaration by the Prime Minister is certainly a very positive one. It's a good one. But let me be very clear that what matters is not just the declaration, but following up with action. Do they have the intelligence capabilities, whether it's in terms of the tracking of people, the tracing of financial assets, etc.? Do they have that ability and the resources, etc., that might be needed to follow up so that you see this kind of declaration translated into the statistics? Because certainly at present, it typically isn't in the statistics. So it remains to be seen whether we're able really, as a nation, to operationalize what the Prime Minister intends.
Now, Dr. Sibasat, also referred to groups like 6 and the 7 and I think the 1% as well. What do these kinds of labels really tell us about how organized crime is structured in Trinidad and Tobago today?
So labels, first, let me say, they have a place, but they could also be simplifications and they could also mislead us. Now, one of the things that we know when we look at what the Prime Minister is saying is that organized criminal networks could be labeled. There are different kinds of organized criminal groups. There are different levels of organization. There is a different level of reach, a different level of connectedness to the criminal justice system, to communities, societies, etc. Notwithstanding, the very complex and layered nature of criminal organized groups in Trinidad and Tobago, and certainly regionally, we have to be very, very careful about labels as well. So let's take that 1% label. That, tends to allude to the upper classes in society, but it certainly is a simplification because it's not that, you certainly don't want to stigmatize a group, just like you don't want to stigmatize a community with gangs where there may be people involved in crime and people not involved in crime. There may be very wealthy people, many of which, the vast majority of whom, may not be involved in any criminal activities at all. And it's not just the quote unquote 1%, but really people at all levels, from the very poor to the very rich, who could be involved in organized crime. So labels, have their utility up to a point, but they certainly could be very misleading for us. And we want to avoid as well any negative connotations like stigmatization and labeling and simplification, which could potentially come with the application of those labels. But at the same time, we know where the Prime Minister is going. She's looking therefore at the range all the way from the street level crime far up, to the much more sophisticated kinds of crimes that we might see happening and orchestrated, in the higher quote unquote echelons of society.
Now, knowing all of that, what do you believe are the main barriers that prevent law enforcement from successfully identifying and really prosecuting those higher up in the chain now?
Right. So this is a difficulty that many countries across the world face. The thing about it is, if you compare what happens with, organized crime groups and the quote unquote higher up groups with the lower level street crime, the lowest level street crime is much more visible. But when you start to talk about more sophisticated organized crime groups, you're talking about corrupt groups which have links to political parties and to persons in office. We are talking about groups that have links to law enforcement agencies, groups that have international connections. They have accountants that are able to move their money into legitimate businesses, into shell companies, to send the money abroad to foreign banks, etc., that it becomes very, very difficult to trace the flow of activities and the connectedness and the resources and all of that. So it becomes a far more difficult task when it comes to actually gathering the intelligence, converting that intelligence into evidence that will stand up in a court of law, getting witnesses and all of that, because there are a lot of people who may be complicit in the activities of organized, especially the sophisticated organized crime groups, but they also benefit from these activities. So they really have no interest in providing information to the authorities. So really, it's a very, very big challenge. It takes a lot of resources, a lot of energy, a lot of technical capabilities to prosecute some of these kinds of crimes. And therefore, it's really, there are a lot of barriers indeed.
Now, the state of emergency has been introduced to really give law enforcement more time and flexibility. So now, from your perspective, do measures like the SOE genuinely help in reaching the higher level organizers, or do they mainly impact the lower level actors that we've been speaking about?
So definitely an SOE, the way that it is structured and operationalized in Trinidad and Tobago, tackles the lower level street crime, as it were. So if you're talking about strategies like, targeting certain communities, saturating them with patrols, etc., what you're really trying to do is deter the street level crime, the more visible type of crime that the public is familiar with. Now, it does not mean that a state of emergency cannot be used to tackle more sophisticated kinds of crimes. One of the things, for example, is that you can consider the lower level criminal actors as doorways to those higher echelons in society, because ultimately you will find that the sophisticated organized crime groups, many of them are actually connected to the lower level groups in society, such as gangs. So let us take something like guns, for instance. The firearms trade is driven by high profits. There is a huge demand for firearms since people in communities want them for protection, they want them to commit crimes, etc. And these groups, of course, exploit porous borders and weaknesses at the ports to bring the firearms in. So there is a linkage between the lower level actors on the ground and those higher up with the capacity to organize, to engage in sophisticated levels of organized crime and to transship weapons and drugs and so forth. So it means that you can, while you have a state of emergency, and this is just by way of example, you can use the lower level actors as a doorway, as a source of intelligence to find out more about their contacts. And I'm not saying necessarily that they're going to tell you, but you can track things like phone records and bank records, and there are other indirect ways that you can approach the situation to try to find out what their social networks are, what their connections are, and try to narrow down who the key actors might be at the higher levels, and then put surveillance on them, start to monitor things like their financial records, their travel movements, etc. Right? So this is simply one example, but you're certainly right. By and large, states of emergency, as they're currently operationalized, do tend to focus almost exclusively on low-level actors. So, having said that, I do want to say it's not that we have to rely only on a state of emergency to deal with organized crime groups and more sophisticated operations, right? We could have other things, and we should indeed have other things in place to deal with the more sophisticated types of crimes, even outside of a state of emergency.
Yeah. Dr. Sivasad, I just have a few minutes before I have to take the news, but I have to ask you about this. This morning we were seeing a video, and in keeping with the theme of our conversation this morning, it's on the screen right now if you did not catch a glimpse of it. The criminals are evolving. We can totally agree on that. So Police have been warning our rideshare drivers about the robberies involving the suspects who use the mobile taxi app to target their victims. Would you be able to just weigh in on this really quickly for us and tell us what does this latest incident here, where this rideshare driver had to allegedly run over a suspect, what does it tell us about how criminals are adapting their methods, and what trends are you seeing in this area?
Right. So, the unfortunate reality is that criminals, they tend to be one step ahead many times. They are aware of the technologies. We are talking young persons generally, so they're very much in tune, with the technologies that are out there. They're very sophisticated, and sometimes they have the ability to, evade law enforcement agencies. And it really puts us as a nation on our guard, because in this particular instance, then you're very much afraid as a citizen of the country to even use a rideshare, which is a typical kind of thing used, by many, many persons. And we sometimes think that we put our lives at risk even to do simple things like go to the ATM or take a taxi. And I'm reminded of the case with Andrea Barrett that I think the nation is well familiar with. Jumped into a car for a ride and ended up being killed. So really what it suggests, though, in terms of law enforcement, that we as well, or rather I should say the agencies that deal with law enforcement should become very sophisticated. They should use the technologies. They should reach out for international assistance. And we do have connections to countries like the United States. We do have links to Interpol, etc.
Yes.
So that we can access their databases, get their information, get their assistance, even CARICOM impacts plays an important
Thank you very
role.
much, Dr. Sibasad. We're out of time, but thank you for helping us through this morning and this conversation. We will talk to you soon. Have a beautiful day.
You too. My pleasure.
All right, Dr. Andy Sibasad. We take a break. Carrie's up next with the news. We come back inside the next hour.
Every client deserves expertise, integrity, and guidance they can trust. At Camino Realty International, we deliver integrated real estate solutions, sales, rentals, property management, and project development. Driven by excellence, transparency, and innovation, we protect value, create opportunity, and build lasting success. Because real estate isn't just about buildings. For more information on our services, log on to CaminoRealty.com or follow us on social media at Camino Realty TT. Camino Realty International, elevating lives one property at a time.
The plays that shake the arenas. The stories that move a nation. From football to cricket, track to tennis, every win, every rivalry, every headline. This is where Trinidad and Tobago come for sports.
TTT Sports with Nasira Mohammed, daily at 7 p.m.
I'm Jamila Bannister, host of the Socially Safe podcast, the new TTPS podcast where we share real stories, teach real lessons, and create real impact. From online safety and youth crime to community policing and personal responsibility, we go beyond the headlines and talk about what's happening in our communities with the officers and experts who are on the front lines. Because safety starts with awareness, conversation, and action. Tune in to the Socially Safe podcast on the TTPS YouTube channel, listen on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Don't miss it.
Watch on TTT, Mondays 6 p.m., Tuesdays 1:10 p.m.
You are dearer to me than all the stars. So many wish but never reach. 'Cause when I'm falling and all the world seems dark, you help me find my peace. Oh, shun mi ba fishani. Oh, shun mi ba yeah. Oh, shun mi ba fishani. yeah, 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 yeah.
Good morning. This is your TDT News Update. I'm Carrie Roberts. Making the news at this time. Police have arrested one suspect following a failed armed robbery attempt in Laventille on Saturday night. According to reports, around 9:20 p.m., a driver who was plying his private vehicle for hire in Port of Spain picked up two female passengers. One of the women requested to be taken to Wharton Branch Road, Laventille, to collect an item. The driver told police that upon arriving at the location, one of the passengers exited the vehicle and was approached by two men, one of whom was armed with a firearm. The men allegedly announced a robbery. Fearing for his life, the driver drove away from the scene, striking one of the suspects in the process. The suspect reportedly discharged the firearm as the vehicle sped off. The second female passenger exited the vehicle while the driver escaped unharmed. Officers of the Besson Street Police Station launched investigations and arrested one male suspect shortly afterwards. In other news, Heritage Petroleum's CEO, Kerry Rampersad, is defending the company's spill detection and response systems days after the company said there was no evidence to support the presence of large amounts of hydrocarbons in the sea. Mr. Rampersad said while oil leaks can happen in the industry, the company is built to respond quickly and limit any impact.
Our highest priority is the responsible operation of our facilities and the safe containment of all hydrocarbons. Loss of containment of hydrocarbon, it can occur from time to time in the industry. If and when this occurs, the focus at Heritage is on really detecting quickly and responding effectively.
The comments come after Heritage said on Friday, June 12th, that checks across its operations, monitoring systems, and offshore surveillance found no signs of any major spill, responding to a statement from Venezuela regarding the possible incident originating in TNT. Mr. Rampersad pointed out that detection systems are both automated and manual, allowing teams to identify problems early.
You have the online SCADA, so automated data goes back so the operators can monitor and they can detect. And we also have visual inspection that is being done by operators on the field.
On Friday, Heritage said it conducted field checks throughout its operations, noting that no abnormalities were reported, and a review of its online monitoring system confirmed all parameters were normal, adding that vessel surveillance was also dispatched across all company assets and liaising with the TNT Coast Guard, resulting in a report of no abnormalities. Chargé d'Affaires from the U.S. Embassy in TNT, Michael Fitzpatrick, says the $500 million investment in its new embassy campus signals confidence that the United States has in Trinidad and Tobago. Speaking at AmCham's AGM, he described the project as a major signal of Washington's long-term commitment to Trinidad and Tobago as a strategic regional partner, underscoring both the scale and significance of the investment.
We believe in Trinidad and Tobago. The U.S. government is currently investing $500 million on a large new embassy campus. Many of you were with me and our team at the last official function at the Shuttered Country Club in January 2025. Our new embassy is a symbol of our commitment, not just to diplomacy, but to partnership, prosperity, and to the decades ahead.
And AmCham President Anna Henderson called for tangible steps to improve business mobility between Trinidad and Tobago and the United States. She urged government to pursue programs that would ease travel for business people and investors, saying such reforms are critical to enhancing competitiveness.
We encourage the government to begin the process of securing the global entry option for travel to and from the U.S. and from then working towards making Piarco International Airport a pre-clearance port.
In sport now, an emotional Lewis Hamilton has taken his first Formula One win for Ferrari at the Spanish Grand Prix in a dramatic end to a gripping race in Barcelona. It's Hamilton's first victory since the 2024 Belgian Grand Prix, when he was still with Mercedes, and his first in signing for Ferrari. The race turned on a virtual safety car period, which allowed Hamilton to make his stop and keep the lead. Championship leader Kimi Antonelli just passed George Russell for second after a race-long battle when his car ground to a halt with an electrical failure. Russell finished second with McLaren's Lando Norris third, the first all-British podium since the 1968 U.S. Grand Prix. Hamilton's win, combined with Antonelli's retirement, cuts the seven-time champion's title deficit to 41 points. Russell is now 50 points behind the Italian. And that's what's making the news at this time. After the break, Virmala is back with hour number 2 of Trinidad and Tobago Today.
Attention viewers in Trinidad and Tobago. The Truth of God now airs on the TTT network every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. You won't want to miss the dynamic preaching and teaching of Pastor Jennings as he speaks from God's Holy Bible.
Believe what God says.
The Truth of God, every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. on Trinidad and Tobago television. You can also watch The Truth of God 24/7 at thetog.tv.
Your heart, brain, and body work hard every day. Give them the support they deserve with omega-3. Packed with essential fatty acids, omega-3 helps support heart health, brain function, and overall wellness. Whether you're staying active, focused, or simply living life to the fullest, live healthier with omega-3. Wellness that works from within. Tune in to Wellness Unlocked on TTT Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9:45 a.m.
Being connected, it means a lot because, first of all, you can't do this by yourself.
When you have your phone, you always have somebody at your side. I could call for help, anything going on, you know.
I'm giving children the opportunity to experience outside of their neighborhood.
Digital is kind of a comfort, you feel good that people in your lives are always able to be contacted.
I was with the other network and I was having problems, so I joined Digicel. And I never regretted it.
One day I was out playing with my friend Kevin and he was really moody, kinda sad and angry at the same time. I asked him what was the matter. Someone in his family had been doing mean things to him. He said he had to keep it a secret. So I asked Kevin, is it a good secret or a bad secret? He said he didn't know. I explained good secrets are cool things like a surprise party or a gift for a special occasion. A bad secret is when someone hurts or harms you and tells you not to tell anyone. Sometimes they might give you little things to make sure you don't tell. That's another bad secret to keep. That's mean and controlling. Kevin said it definitely fell into the bad secret category. I felt this was something an adult should help with. Because as a child, when someone hurts you, you can feel really alone and afraid. And the best people to help you are the ones you love and really, really trust. I asked him if there was any adult that he trusted. So we worked up a little plan for Kevin to talk to one of them. A while after that, I could see my friend was doing much better. Now we tell all our pals about good secrets and bad secrets so that we can all feel brave, safe, and strong. Break the silence. Child abuse is one secret you should never keep.
Well, a devastating fire at the Quail Hall building in Port of Spain on Friday night claimed the lives of 2 women and displaced dozens of residents. Fire officers say approximately 30 people were living on the building's 3rd floor, and upon arrival, crews rescued 4 occupants from inside the structure and from the roof. Members of a TNTech emergency crew were also credited with helping to rescue a baby from the scene. And joining us this morning to discuss the response, the rescue efforts, and the ongoing investigation is President of the Fire Service Association, Keon Guy. Good morning, Mr. Guy.
Hi, good morning, Ramala, and good morning to all of your listeners.
So, Mr. Guy, can you walk us through the timeline of events from the moment the firefighters received that call on Friday night?
Oh, certainly can. First of all, allow me to just express condolences on behalf of the officers within Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service to the relatives of Miss Susan De Silva and Leah Griffith, who unfortunately perished in that tragic fire on Friday night in Port of Spain. It was around 9:24, according to our records, that the fire service began receiving trouble reports of an incident at East Port of Spain. I would say that we got multiple addresses for around the same area. Despite that, within 6 minutes, we had the first arriving crew, which is a crew from the Wrighton Road Fire Station, arrived, and the scene that they described, and of course indicating the size of the building and the location of the fire and so on, they did describe a scene that was filled with a lot of chaos, as you would imagine around that time of the night where it's dark and difficult to see. There will be persons in the streets. There were, of course, heavy smoke and fire seen from the building, and being a multi-story building in itself poses some additional challenges. But the officers, nevertheless, arrived on scene and were quite easily able to gain access to the fire floor, which was the third floor of our 4-story building. Even though they were able to gain access without much problems, the major issue at that time remained were the persons that were trapped on the roof. And I understand that the officers who arrived, they did request the assistance of TNTech, who, after very little hesitation, got involved. And, I mean, we've all seen the videos on social media. So I'd like to thank them for their support and collaboration on those rescues, as well as residents in the area who were also on the building attempting to rescue some of their neighbors. It was indeed a joint effort, but again, in the life of a fire officer, is one of the most troubling experiences that you can imagine.
Now, I know that the firefighters left the scene around 2:30 a.m. and they later returned. Can you explain the circumstances surrounding that decision?
Yes, so the officers continued to battle the fire for all about 4 or 5 hours continuously. Involved was a bakery or baking area on the third floor. So it did take some time for the officers to extinguish the fire. At the time, it was extremely dark. It was difficult to see, and even though there were reports of persons missing, the officers conducted extensive searches with very limited lighting. But however, due to debris and you know, just soot all over the area, the officers were unable to immediately locate those persons. They were able to return to the station, refill their breathing apparatus sets, and return with proper lighting, or additional lighting, I would say. And it's only then that they discovered the 2 bodies of the deceased.
Now, was the loss of lighting after electricity was disconnected a significant factor in the operation? And how did, I know you said they returned with lights as well, how did it really impact the firefighters on the ground?
Well, it's part of our normal standard operating procedures to request the isolation of the building, or even in some cases the entire area. TNTech does an excellent job in supporting us with that, with those requests, whether or not the operators at the switch rooms conduct the isolation, or the foremen and crew on the scene engage to manually disconnect electricity in the area. So that is a common event. However, we have had a shortage of lighting and proper search lighting in the fire service, and it hampers our ability to properly ensure that the scene itself, like the ground floor, is properly illuminated, as well as to have those lights or even thermal imaging cameras that will assist us in carrying out these searches when you have incidents of such a magnitude. This was not the everyday type of incident. It's a multi-use building, one that houses that is used for both commercial, business, as well as for residents. And the statistics would show internationally that these are some of the most dangerous types of incidents for fire officers as well as the residents that live there. So the lighting was indeed a challenge. It's, however, one that we are accustomed to and normally overcome. But given the scope of this incident, it did prove to be a lot more problematic than the officers would have liked.
Yeah. Now, as you just spoke about that, the fact that the building was housed, well, it housed dozens of occupants. So when you have structures like that, densely occupied structures, what challenges, can you just break it down for us, do the firefighters really face when they respond to and they actually enter or come, to that location where so many people are living in a structure?
Well, residential buildings, as we call them, sleep and risk, already pose their challenges. So when an emergency call or trouble call comes in at the hours that we are aware that people are or should be resting, should be sleeping, is where we expect that they most likely may be trapped persons, because that's the hour where everyone is home, either at rest or even engaging in some form of entertainment. So that in itself is very challenging. Add to that, it was a multi-story structure with one main access, egress and access area. So as soon as that entry point or exit point in this case is compromised, it means that persons could become trapped almost quickly. What was also unique about this is that, as I mentioned before, it was a multi-occupancy type structure. A bakery in itself carries its own risk profile, and that's because it has the ovens and the process involved in processing those baked goods. But when you couple that with a resident that sits on top of it, it poses a high risk to those individuals. So in a situation like that, early detection is absolutely critical. And in this case so far, from the preliminary reports, we understand that there was no fire alarm installed in that location. And I would say it is a critical component in ensuring early detection and ensuring persons can probably mount an escape should a fire occur during the hours of the night.
Yeah. Mr. Guy, as investigations continue now, what lessons can the public really take from this tragedy? And what are the next steps in determining the actual cause of this fire?
Well, there are definitely some good things to look at for us as citizens, despite being in battle with all of the various talk. What this fire demonstrates is that indeed we are our brothers keepers. We had the residents getting involved in attempting rescues of their neighbors before the arrival of the fire service. We had the TNTech personnel on scene whose core function is not firefighting by any stretch, who faced those flames, who faced those smoke to engage and attempt a rescue, and were effective in doing so. And the fire officers whose main duty is to respond, but then find themselves up against what supposed to be a quite daunting task. So we had those three agents, those three various bodies coming together, the neighbors, the TNTech, and the fire service, to perform those rescues. So I would say that is a good thing, and we will want to continue that. Before there is an actual cause determined, we can't speak directly to exactly what all of the learnings are, but what we would say is that having multiple egress points is critical, especially when persons live in a multi-occupancy type of structure. Having early detection, having an evacuation plan, as well as some form of fire protection systems installed, go a long way in ensuring that you could have a safe pathway to egress should a fire exist. Now, where these bodies were found, we're on the involved floor, and it is very likely that they were trapped. They became trapped very early on in the fire. But we await the final report from our fire investigators that I am aware of will be returning to that site today to continue the investigations.
Thank you very much, Mr. Guy, for joining us this morning. Have a good day.
Certainly. Take care. Bye.
All right, that's President of the Fire Service Association, Keon Guy. Well, if you're streaming us live this morning, you're on YouTube or on Facebook, a special good morning to you. Thank you for following us on all our social media platforms as well. For all the stories that you see here and more, check us out at TTT Live Online. If you have anything you want to contribute to the show, all you have to do is send us an email at tttoday@ttt.co.tt, and you can be a part of the conversation that's shaping our nation. Once again, again, that email is tttoday@ttt.co.tt. Trinidad and Tobago Today, news you can trust, stories that matter.
Every client deserves expertise, integrity, and guidance they can trust. At Camino Realty International, we deliver integrated real estate solutions, sales, rentals, property management, and project development. Driven by excellence, transparency, and innovation, we protect value, create opportunity, and build lasting success. Because real estate isn't just about buildings. For more information on our services, log on to CaminoRealty.com or follow us on social media at Camino Realty TT. Camino Realty International, elevating lives one property at a time.
Being connected, it means a lot because, first of all, you can't do this by yourself.
When you have your phone, you always have somebody at your side. I could call for help, anything going like,
You know, I'm giving children the opportunity to experience outside of their neighborhood.
Digital is kind of a comfort, you feel good that people in your lives are always able to be contacted.
I was with the other network and I was having problems, so I joined Digicel and I never regretted it.
Ever wondered what happens before the lights come on? Before the crowd pours in? Before the magic hits the stage? This is your all-access pass. Sneak Peek with Junior K takes you behind the scenes of the biggest cultural moments and the hottest events across TNT. From the sound checks to the stage setups, from final rehearsals to exclusive interviews. If it's about to be big, we're already there. Catch Sneak Peek airing daily on TTT and relive every moment on all our social media platforms. Sneak Peek with Junior K, where the story starts before the spotlight.
I'm Renee Sion with another edition of Caribbean Week in Review.
June 26th marks the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, a day dedicated to raising awareness about the impact of substance abuse and the importance of prevention, treatment, and recovery. This year is particularly significant as it also coincides with the anniversary of Rebirth House, Trinidad and Tobago's longest-running drug rehabilitation center. Now, to mark the occasion, the National Drug Council and Rebirth House are partnering for a really fun Run for the Recovery 5K at the Queen's Park Savannah. Joining us this morning are Jefferson Jerwan, clinical psychologist at Rebirth House, and Cheryl St. Louis Felix, manager of the National Drug Council. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
So every year we observe the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. So why does this day remain so especially relevant in Trinidad and Tobago today? And even before we get to that, what exactly is this day trying to achieve?
Every year, and we say thank you for having us on this morning. Every year,
that is a UNODC theme. And the theme evolves. Every year is a different theme according to what's happening in the global sphere or the regional sphere. And for Trinidad and Tobago, the National Drug Council has taken the responsibility to recognize that day. As any other day happens internationally, there are agencies that will do that. So for Trinidad and Tobago and for the National Drug Council, the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking is to increase the awareness for our citizens, the national population, to understand what's taking place, what is trending, and how they can support with this particular initiative. This year, the theme is actually issues, changing challenges, and of course, with respect with evolving issues and innovative responses. And that speaks to what's taking place, of course, in the global hemisphere when it comes to substance use and trafficking. We're no longer just cannabis and cocaine. We're now into psychoactive substances, the synthetic drugs. So it's different, and we have to keep on top of it.
Yeah. Now, before I go back to the National Drug Council, I want to take a moment now and ask you about Rebirth House. What exactly is Rebirth House, and how did it come about?
Rebirth House is a treatment and rehabilitation facility. Our major focus is individuals who are afflicted with substance use disorder and other addictions as well. We have been in existence since 1988, and then we are celebrating 30 years of existence on the 27th of June this year. So simultaneously, it is the 30th year of our anniversary and also International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. Yeah. So that is what we are about.
So now back to the whole conversation about drug or substance abuse. Are there any particular age groups or substances causing the greatest concern at this time?
So the nature of substance use over the years has evolved, is changing. The traditional substances as tobacco, alcohol, marijuana, cocaine in the 1980s has changed. There's a lot of other drugs that is coming on the market. We have things like ecstasy, we have amphetamines, we have new psychoactive substances, we have
I'm seeing some of them on the screen right now,
exactly.
Actually. Yeah, so we have a couple of them right here, and there's stats to go with them. So you have, there's cocaine, there's marijuana, and others. And here are the groups of people as well. So continuing the conversation this morning, Mr. Jerwan, many people still see addiction as a personal failure rather than a health issue. What would you like the public to understand about substance use disorders?
Substance use disorder, it's a condition, it's a disease, it's a mental condition that is chronic, it is complex, it is progressive, it is highly relapsable, but it is treatable. Mm-hmm. Just like mental illnesses, there's a stereotype associated with both mental health and substance use, but it is treatable and help is available. Yeah. And Rebirth House is one of the organizations that is pioneering the work in relation to treatment and rehabilitation in Trinidad and Tobago.
So tremendous work being done all around. And now we have a new event, and it's a 5K. And everyone loves 5Ks these days.
Yes.
Actually, this morning we're talking about a few of those 5K events. So tell us about it and the theme of this event as well. And how does this all fit into the broader message of recovery and hope?
It is a 5K, but there is a message. The message is we are trying to communicate the dangers and the risks associated with substance use and substance use disorders. Mm-hmm. We are also encouraging NGOs, NPUs, and other communities to continue to do prevention work and education work, particularly targeting the youth population to delay the initiation of drug use.
And also as well,
sure,
that the 5K, whilst it's trending now, the National Drug Council and Rebirth House have been hosting these 5Ks for over 15 years, and it has been called the Run, Walk, or Crawl. So it's not new. it's just falling in within the trend that's taking place this year.
Yeah. So the theme this year is
recovery.
Yes, recovery.
Yes.
And what has the feedback been like for these 5Ks over the past years?
Over the past few years, we have seen it move from 25 persons to about 300 persons.
Wow.
Yes.
And I'm guessing more numbers even expected this year as well.
Well, we're hoping at least even if we stay within the ballpark, it's fine. Yeah.
But as you said, 5Ks are in the air every weekend.
Very trendy.
So while we have ours at 4 p.m. that day, somebody else is having one during the morning period.
And chances are people are going to all of them.
Yes.
But, you know, these are really good events for a reason, for a purpose. As you said, recovery. And can you give us all the details about this event now? Can we be a part of this? Is registration still on?
Registration is still open. It's on the race roster. So for all those 5K avid 5K persons, they can go on the race roster and register and be part of the cause, because it's not just a 5K, it's a 5K with a reason. We're all speaking about drugs. We're talking about drug use, we're talking about trafficking, and it's important for us to understand. And I just heard earlier on, of course, with one of your interviewees, when we speak about the issues of organized crime, it's all of us. Right? Drugs impact us whether directly or indirectly, and therefore we're inviting the entire nation to take an opportunity, come out and make the conversation be your presence, that you want to be part of this recovery.
Yeah. All right. So what are your hopes for the Run for Recovery 5K, and what message do you really want your participants to carry with them across that finish line?
The message that we want to say that across the finish line is that substance use disorder is a treatable illness. Individuals who are afflicted with the condition, affected by the families, the individuals, workplace, communities, there is hope. There is treatment available. Treatment, recovery is possible. If we could identify individuals who may have issues, help is available.
And we had the medals on the screen just now. I know that medal reveals are such a big thing now for these 5Ks, and everyone wants to collect those medals. But this medal is actually one with a purpose, as many of the 5Ks are. So if there's one thing you'd like the public to remember on this World Drug Day, what would it be?
Every step matters.
Every step matters. And what about you, Mr. Jerwin?
Recovery is possible.
Recovery is possible. Now, you have seen many people come in and go through that period of recovery. Any particular story that may have stayed with you? I'm sure many.
It is a relapsable condition. Many people do not get it at the first try, but fall 6 times, rise 7 times.
Very important. So that 5K takes place on the 26th of June. Remember, it's at the Queen's Park, Savannah. The numbers are on the screen for you, and there is an email as well. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here with us this morning. We're looking forward to that 5K and, of course, to continue all the great work from Rebirth House and also the National Drug Council. Any closing words before we wrap up?
Hope to see you at the starting lineup.
All right. I have a bad knee these days, but I will be pushing on. I feel like I have a bad knee in the wrong time when everyone's having a 5K. Thank you very much for being here. 7:33, that's the time. Thank you both for joining us. The message is a powerful one. Recovery is possible, help is available, and no one has to face these challenges alone. And we wish you all the all the success, I should say, with the Run for Recovery 5K, and congratulations on Rebirth House and another year of changing lives and creating second chances. We take a break and come back on Trinidad and Tobago Today.
The plays that shake the arenas.
The stories that move a nation. From football to cricket, track to tennis, every win, every rivalry, every headline. This is where Trinidad and Tobago come for sports.
TTT Sports. Committed, accurate, relevant.
Being connected, it means a lot because, first of all, you can't do this by yourself.
When you have your phone, you always have somebody at your side. I could call for help, anything going on, you know.
You know, I'm giving children the opportunity to experience outside of their neighborhood.
Digital is kind of a comfort, you know, you feel good that people in your lives are always able to be contacted.
I was with the other network and I was having problems, so I joined Digicel and I never regretted it.
Since 1972, one sound has been living in the heart of Trinidad and Tobago, the longest running radio station in the nation.
We're your holiday soundtrack, whether it's on your day off, long drives, or house lives. We are always sweet.
This is music with meaning, music with memories.
Music that feels like home.
And it's not just the songs, it's the voices you trust, personalities you've grown with.
Laughter that sounds familiar. This isn't just radio, it's tradition. It's memories. It's part of who we are.
Sweet 100.1 FM, the rhythm of our identity, part of your family.
Always 100, guide you on your way. Sweet 100, sweet 100. Exalt the Lord, our God, and worship His holy name. For His mercy, kindness, lift your voice, every nation, all creation, great and small. Exalt the Lord.
Hi everybody, I am Leah.
And I'm Dion.
And we are
The Duncans.
Listen, we're here to tell you about a project the Lord has given to us called the Marriage Confessional. It is geared toward married couples, those that are on the road to marriage, and those that want to get married one day.
So join us on TTT and on Facebook and YouTube at TTT Live Online.
The Marriage Confessional, only on TTT.
Community events have a unique way of bringing people together, promoting healthy lifestyles and strengthening neighborhood spirit. The upcoming Rillo Run 5K Walk and Run aims to do exactly that, combining fitness, fun, community engagement, while encouraging people of all ages to get active. Well, joining us this morning are Navin Mohammed, Youth and Sports Affairs Officer, and Sharina Supasad, Director. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. So we're talking about another 5K, but this one is a really special one because it's the Gasparilla Organization for Community Development. So tell me about the organization. How did it come about?
So the Gasparilla Organization was developed through residents from the community who saw the need for greater involvement and development within Gasparilla. Members came together to start fundraisers because we all know funding is an issue these days, especially for NGOs. And these fundraisers, especially the Rillo Run 5K, is one of our major fundraisers for the year that helps us to promote the development within Gasparilla.
Yeah. So how did the Rillo Run 5K Walk and Run come about?
Well, it was a community initiative where the residents came together and together with the Gasparilla Organization for Community Development, and we decided that we wanted to do something to bring community togetherness. So Rillo Run started in 3 years ago. This is our third installment of Rillo Run, and our first run was, as I said, a community initiative.
Yeah, and how has the feedback in the community been for this 5K?
Well, it's been really, really good so far. I must say the participants, they have really been tremendous within the last 3 years. Well, 2 years will be our third year. And the response, this will be our biggest event yet, because we would have started off with just about 200 participants the first year. And as we increase, this year we're looking at 400 participants. And not just within the Gasparilla community, but we have persons that have been extended throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Persons that are coming from Point Fortin, persons that are coming from Sandy Grande. And this is an initiative that we are proud of, because we try to bridge that gap with members of the community, bringing them together with stakeholders and businesses. And this is one of our events that brings them together, not just to unite, but to promote fitness and wellness within the community.
All right, so let's hear all about this 5K. How can people be a part of it, and who can come to this 5K? Is it that people living in Gasparilla, or can the friends of people from Gasparilla attend?
No, Rillaron is, although it's named Rillaron, it's not for the community of Gasparilla alone. It is for the wider public and the nation. So anyone can register, and anyone can participate in Rillaron in Gasparilla.
And how can we register?
So you can register online. There's a form, a Google form, that you can register online on our social media platforms. Or you can contact us at 326-6813 or 337-9290. And yeah, you just reach out to us to get more information. And we do have registration in person. So you just WhatsApp us to get the location. And yeah, secure your spot today.
So everyone's interested in the medal. What can you tell us about the medal? Any sneak peek? Any, just what it would look like?
So this is actually our first year of having a customized medal. So it's actually a big deal to us. The other 2 years we would have had ordinary medals. And I think that's why persons are actually looking forward for these days at 5Ks. They're looking for the medals to start their collection. And yeah, it's actually our branded medals. So persons register, come collect our medal. Yeah.
Everyone's collecting the medals and also the bread, all the goodies. So the team who are helping behind the scenes to pull this together from the community, you want to tell us a little bit about that team?
Sure. Well, Navin can start and I'll continue.
Well, the Gospel Organization for Community Development is the team that is pulling this event together. It is a team of youths. It's a team of community leaders. It's also a team of stakeholders and businesses within the community who have come together to make this event possible.
Yeah. So as we go ahead with, our businesses, events like these, such as big as these, can't be just pulled off just so. We have to have sponsors and whatnot. And within the Gasparilla community, we would have received support from the businesses in Gasparilla. And one of our major persons is Marathon Health Pharmacy in Gasparilla. And they would have been with us from the very beginning. And they promote wellness and fitness. And so this year's theme is actually, focused on diabetes awareness and health and fitness. And we will have the Diabetes Association at our 5K as well as marathon, and they will be doing blood sugar testing, pressure testing, cholesterol testing. So this is the medical checkups that you can look forward to on race day.
All right.
We will also be focusing on Men's Mental Health Month, as June is Men's Mental Health Month. We will also have Carryman there, which is the Caribbean Male Action Network. I'm also a member of that. And Carryman is basically the regional alliance for Men Engage Alliance, and we focus on engaging men and boys in masculinity and gender equality. So they are going to be there as part of the sponsors on that day, focusing on Mental Health Month, as June is Men's Mental Health Month as well.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking forward to Rillo Run 5K Walk and Run. So we see you there. When is it happening again?
June 19th. That's Labor Day morning at
just
6
a few days away. Wow. A very special week. And it's a long weekend. So
yes,
you have no excuses. Please go sign up. The information is on the screen for you now. Remember, for everything that you see here on the show and more, you can find it at TTT Live Online. So all the stories that we've had, all the interviews, again, that's TTT Live Online. The time now 7:44. We take one quick break, and when we come back, we get ready to wrap it up with a very special guest.
Attention viewers in Trinidad and Tobago. The Truth of God now airs on the TTT network every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. You won't want to miss the dynamic preaching of Pastor Jennings as he speaks from God's Holy Bible. The Truth of God, Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. on the TTT network.
Every client deserves expertise, integrity, and guidance they can trust. At Camino Realty International, we deliver integrated real estate solutions, sales, rentals, property management, and project development. Driven by excellence, transparency, and innovation, we protect value, create opportunity, and build lasting success. Because real estate isn't just about buildings. For more information on our services, log on to CaminoRealty.com or follow us on social media at Camino Realty TT. Camino Realty International, elevating lives one property at a time.
I'm Jamila Bannister, host of the Socially Safe podcast, the new TTPS podcast where we share real stories, teach real lessons, and create real impact. From online safety and youth crime to community policing and personal responsibility, we go beyond the headlines and talk about what's happening in our communities with the officers and experts who are on the front lines. Because safety starts with awareness, conversation, and action. Tune in to the Socially Safe podcast on the TTPS YouTube channel, listen on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Don't miss it.
Watch on TTT, Mondays 6 p.m., Tuesdays 1:10 p.m.
I am your mother,
aunt, grandmother,
guardian, friend, and I promise to protect you in all situations because someone has hurt you, violated you, harmed you,
abused you,
and you were brave enough to tell me.
You trusted me. You came to me for help,
to defend, for support, to protect you.
No amount of money
or bribes,
favors, or gifts will stop me.
You are most important to me.
You are worth more to me than any material thing.
I will do all in my power,
in my heart,
to make sure that you are taken care of and that justice is served and you thrive. Together, my daughter,
my son,
my child, we will live and love. I will protect you.
Break the silence. Report all cases of child sexual abuse.
From Tobago to the wider Caribbean music scene, our next guest is using a unique blend of dancehall, reggae, and soca to tell stories of faith, growth, and perseverance with songs like Feel How I Feel and also Believe. He's gaining attention and he continues to build a loyal following through music that is both uplifting and relatable. Joining us now is Tobago-born singer and recording artist Devontae Joseph. Good morning, Vontae.
Good morning, good morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm great.
Now, for viewers who may be hearing about Vontae for the first time, tell us a little bit about yourself and your musical journey.
Well, my musical journey started off at a young age, I'll say. It is influence from my father because his name is Gardenite. He's an entertainer as well. So, starting from a young age, I used to be on stage with him. But as I grew into teenage phase, I became stage fright and, more shy, so I started to take the back end of it until I realized for myself that, I have the music in me and I really ready to take it fully and serious.
So you were born in Tobago?
Yes.
And you grew up in Tobago as well?
Yes, Speyside, Tobago.
But you don't currently live there?
No, not right now.
Ah, so you're back in, well, you're in Trinidad now?
For music purposes.
Okay, and did you go back to Tobago to perform?
Well, I went back to Tobago once to perform. Other than that, nothing right now
Yeah.
performing wise.
Maybe some plans to go back to Tobago. I'm pretty sure that
I'll get
they
through
would
some
love
things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell
timing,
us
man.
about your sound now. So you have a very specific sound. It's a
Correct.
blend of dancehall and reggae and soca, all the elements of Caribbean music. So how would you describe your style to someone who's hearing your music for the first time or is about to hear your music for the first time?
I'd say, if I could use one word, I would say different.
Yeah.
But different in a good way still. Something that you could relate to. There's take passion in my writing and my delivery as well.
So you write your own songs?
Yes, correct.
Wow. Do you write for other artists as well or plans to do that?
I never write for no other artist, but I wouldn't mind.
Yeah. If you had to choose two artists that you could write for, who would they be?
I'd say Zerima, and I'd say my father too.
Your
Gala
dad.
Nights.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And you haven't done that?
Not really fully.
Okay.
I never given him a full song.
Yeah. So what about your dad's music and career inspired you?
Well, I'd say that my father was always a fighter in the music because, he committed challenges and he let talent speak for itself. So he put in the work. I used to see him on stages, big stages too as well, in Tobago. So I always been around it and gravitate to the music. And every minute I used to want to be on stage from small.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
21.
21. So
Right.
you have a very, very beautiful career ahead of you. And you have a big song right now. It's called Feel How I Feel. And also you have multiple great songs and two of them are called Feel How I Feel and Believe. So let's start with Feel How I Feel. What's the message behind that track?
So that track is a party track. Yeah, that basically it, and me and my father sing the track as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that like to share a song with your dad?
A dream, because I always wanted to do it. So when I bring the opportunity to him, I pitch the idea. Because I told him, I say, in your industry, I have something on it. And think we should do something. And he was like, let me hear what you have and thing.
Yeah.
So he come by the car and start to chant because we does whole our vibes before we write the music now, to feel the connection of the rhythm. And he had his little flow and he was mumbling, but he wasn't saying words. Yeah. And he went back in the car and I put words to his flow.
Right.
So that bring across my part and his part as well of the song.
Well, that's nice that you're both working together as well. And let's talk about Believe. What's that about?
My life, basically. Growing up from small, sometimes they fight because it's not always easy in the music. It's not always easy as an artist to sit back and be patient. But I express myself in the writing, and that's what Believe is more about. Expressing myself, telling my story.
Yeah. Now, Ivante, I want to talk to you a little bit about using music as a push for positive messages, especially with young people like yourself in the genres like dancehall and reggae and even soca. But more specifically for dancehall and reggae, especially in Trinidad and Tobago. Recently we've been seeing some big artists saying that they want to use their platform, they want to use their music to push a positive message to the youth. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that's a great thing because people with influence supposed to use the influence in the right way.
That's right.
Now, I'm not saying that everybody's supposed to be perfect, but if you have a level of influence that could impact the youths positive, I agree. Use it.
Yes.
Full 100.
Do you have intentions as well to continue to push out, music with that really good message that you have been working on in the coming future?
I'd say yes, and I'd still say I have the music for the young people as well.
Of course.
But it's always about pushing out a good message too, so I would never say no to that. Yeah. So even if within my career, always going forward, I will always have a positive message.
So, Vontae, what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced while building this music career?
Doubt. But I always had a self-belief in myself. So doubt more came from people who are expected to be there for me. Friends, people who are expected to support me, fail. So it's basically, I had was to will on myself and say, hey, these apartheid, you had to fight over it. And I had people in my corner, so the right people was always there regardless of. So my managers, my family, and 1 and 2 friends too.
Yeah, well, the right people always stay in your life, and then the wrong people fall off.
And then to the music as well, let's show for itself, because within the music, I've been doing music officially for 9 months. That was my first ever release was a track called Shake. So from then to now, every time a door closes, one is open like right after. So the music telling me, hey, keep doing this too as well.
That's really some positive words this morning. Well, before we wrap up, Vontae, I want to know what's next for you, but I also want you to tell any young artists to maybe looking on right now and they felt all the challenges that you have. What would you say to them and they want to sing?
I'll say keep pushing, keep going. And a lot of upcoming artists, because I used to think so myself, the first thing that an artist would want is the word boss, meaning established, to be established. But ask yourself this question: if you're boss in the morning, are you prepared? Because you could write one song and boss, but what about what you bring next? How best you stay on top? How best you stay relevant? So all those things you have to take into consideration while building yourself. So have a plan. Keep going. You can't stop.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Vontae, for joining us this morning. And we look forward to seeing all your success in the coming years. And keep pushing that positive message and also the party music as well. To give the fans what they want. What a powerful way to end our show today on Trinidad and Tobago Today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Remember, you can find everything that you saw here at TTT Live online and, of course, our social media channels. We see you tomorrow, 6 to 8, where we do this all over again. Carrie's up next with the news. This is where I say bye-bye. Have a good day.
The way you're whining the bumper, oh Lord, I feel it in my soul. The way you whine and carry on. So when you're chipping behind the truck, waistline start to walk up. Even if you have your man, call me delusional. Put me number in your phone. Oh Lord, I can't leave you alone.
Ever wondered what happens before the lights come on? Before the crowd pours in? Before the magic hits the stage? This is your all-access pass. Sneak Peek with Junior K takes you behind the scenes of the biggest cultural moments and the hottest events across TNT. From the sound checks to the stage setups, from final rehearsals to exclusive interviews. If it's about to be big, we're already there. Catch Sneak Peek airing daily on TTT and relive every moment on all our social media platforms. Sneak Peek with Junior K, where the story starts before the spotlight.
Hi everybody, I am Leah.
And I'm Dion.
And we are
The Duncans.
Listen, we're here to tell you about a project the Lord has given to us called the Marriage Confessional. It is geared toward married couples, those that are on the road to marriage, and those that want to get married one day.
So join us on TTT and on Facebook and YouTube at TTT Live Online.
The Marriage Confessional, only on TTT.
Coming up Hot plates, cold drinks, and chill vibes were the order of the month in Antigua and Barbuda. Top chefs, tasty menus, influencers, and foodies. The boxes were ticked, kitchens buzzing, and grills fired up. It's the one and only Antigua and Barbuda Culinary Month. It's Caribbean Passport TV on TTT.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. We report the news, real stories in real time. TTT News, nightly at 7. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant.
Good morning. This is your TTT News Update. I'm Carrie Roberts. Making the news at this time. With the government set to present its mid-year budget review today, former Energy Minister Kevin Ramnarine says positive developments in the energy sector could boost Trinidad and Tobago's economic outlook in 2027.
Things are going to improve in 2027. And there are 3 gas projects which are scheduled to come on stream in 2027: Coconut, Ginger, and Manatee, all scheduled to start in 2027. And of course, there's also the extraordinary news coming out of Venezuela with regard to the Loran field, which though it's not our gas, it's their gas, it is part of a cross-border reservoir system that comes into Trinidad. So that augurs well for the future of Trinidad and Tobago.
But he notes that with the end of the U.S.-Israel-Iran war causing a drop in energy prices, that the remainder of 2026 will be a period of doldrums for the country.
Already we see prices in the region of $80 to $82 per barrel of oil this morning, where just 3 months ago it had been $120 a barrel. So that affects also natural gas prices. It will affect ammonia prices and methanol prices, which have been pretty high in the last 3 months because of the war and because of the closure of the Straits of Hormuz. So that's going to obviously feature into revenue collection for the remainder of fiscal 2026.
The former energy minister noted that confidence in the country is high among the private sector, with a re-evaluation of the Moody's rating from negative to stable. He was speaking on the Trinidad and Tobago Today morning show. In other news, the new terminal building at the A&R Robinson International Airport has moved a step closer to full operation. Minister of Works and Infrastructure Jerlene John on Sunday officially handed over key documents, including certifications, warranties, and operating manuals to stakeholders responsible for the facility's management. The documents were presented to Transport and Civil Aviation Minister Eli Zakur, Tobago House of Assembly Chief Secretary Father Agustin, and representatives of the airport's authority. The terminal has received international aviation, safety and environmental certifications, including LEED green building certifications and compliance under IATA, ICAO, and FAA frameworks. Since partial completion in March 2025, works have included taxiway paving, airfield lighting installation, testing of building systems, and staff training under an operational readiness program coordinated by Munich Airport International. The terminal will now enter its operational phase under the Ministry of Transport and the Airports Authority. In more news, Minister of Finance Devendranath Tanku says the institutions like the World Bank and the Development Bank of Central America are investing because they see Trinidad and Tobago's forward momentum. As he gave the feature address at the Environmental Management Authority's Green Leaf Award ceremony, the Finance Minister explained why the World Bank, other financial organizations, and multinational energy companies are looking to invest in Trinidad and Tobago.
Moody's, it's a rating agency which looks at financing factors. Today, is it today or yesterday, announced that they're keeping the Trinidad and Tobago's rating, but improving our outlook. The world is seeing that our country is going forward.
Mr. Tanku also announced that there is another financial organization looking to establish in this country.
But as the Minister of Finance and as Director of CAF, the the Development Bank of Latin America. I'm proud to announce that the Development Bank of Latin America is also establishing a presence in Trinidad and Tobago. Construction is due to start in this calendar year, and the expectation is that by 2027, CAF will have a presence in Trinidad and Tobago.
And that was your TTT News Update. I'm Carrie Roberts. From all of us here, have a great day.
This is TTT. Live for local.